Good morning. Kimberly here. I am an ER nurse of 25 years. I'm just doing a little get ready with me, and I hope you'll come along. Today is a little different. I am actually on the semi flip side. It is like 4:30 in the morning. I had to get up and get ready because I have to go do fit testing. It has actually been, you're supposed to go like every year or when there's changes. Most places don't make you go every year. I don't know. This is the first time I've been in a hospital that's doing it every year. So I have to go in on a day off to do the fit testing. So 1 hour, but still. I just did a 4 day and it was brutal. So I'm still recovering from that. I'm just going to start getting ready and we're going to chat. Because, like, what am I doing on my off days? Because I'm off for 5 days. Yes, 5 days. So I'm super excited. Anyway, I have kind of not been posting videos, as you may be aware. I had a really bad eye infection that was gnarly, and I am getting much better. It affected both eyes, and I'm finally on the mend, but it has been brutal. I did shoot several videos, and it wasn't just about the eye infection. I was not feeling it. I don't know what it was, but I was filming these videos, and I wasn't in love with the content. I didn't feel like posting them. I'm trying to figure out which way this channel is going. I'm still going to stick around and do the Get Ready With Me's, but let's get into it. What have I been digesting on content? I got to tell you, I am riveted right now by this whole Karen Reed trial. Are you? Because it's doing something to my psyche. I'm going to go with my Naked 3 palette, which I hate the design of. If you are a producer of Naked, let me tell you something. You know what we want? We want a palette that is like palm, can hold it in your palm, the mirror comes up. That's what we want to do. If you want to put all the colors down this way so I can hold it like this while I'm getting ready, that's perfect. But when you put a palette sideways where I can't grab it and do my thing, it doesn't work for me. I like the colors, I just don't like the design of this palette. That's why I have a broken end piece here. So anyway, I'm going to go in with my pink. I think it's called Blaze. I never can see these and I don't know these by name. If it was a MAC palette, I could tell you everything by name. So anyway, we're going to go in with a little bit of this, I think this Dusty, I wanted to say Blaze, but I think it's called Luna. I don't know. On the lid, we're going to just go in like this. Okay, so let me talk to you about the Karen Reed trial. I'm riveted, and I'll tell you why. One, it's polarizing the whole country. I think we can all agree on that. I am going to talk about the stuff that gets into the medical on this because it is like stirring my soul. I am really irritated by some of the stuff I'm seeing that has been done from the medical personnel, and I have so many questions I want to know about. I know some of it's public information, some of it's not. I feel terrible for the family of John O'Keefe, but we have to remember this trial isn't just about, the justice for John, all of that. He's not getting it only because there was a botched investigation and they are going after one person. Clearly there's other parties in this whole thing and I want to hear more. I did not watch the whole first trial. I actually didn't watch the first trial at all, so I'm trying to go into it with a fresh set of eyes. And as I'm hearing things, I am so irritated. Yesterday, we heard from John O'Keefe's mother. We heard from Kerry Roberts. We heard from a man named, I think it was Daniel Whitley. And Daniel Whitley was, I believe, I'm looking up my computer. Daniel Whitley was the FTO officer on the fire department who went back to get Karen Reed to put her on a Section 12. Now, what is a Section 12? Well, it's a legal hold. It's a 72-hour hold in Massachusetts. That's what they call a Section 12. If you live in a place like Florida, it's called the Baker Act. If you live in California, it's called the 5150. And what do these mean? Well, this is a very intense legal, document that is written to put someone who is a danger to self or others on a legal hold for medical evaluation and to stabilize or treat or make sure that they're safe. And These are put in place for safety. Now, this one with Karen Reed is very interesting because when a legal hold is written, this is really important. If you're in medical, that you understand this. If you are not, it is something that you can understand as a lay person. It's a 72-hour hold that essentially strips someone of all of their rights to any freedoms. This is something that you have to be really careful about, because you can get into civil rights violations if this is not done the right way. Now, what I have a question about during this is they got a call to put Karen on a Section 12, and he said in his testimony that he was asking for her compliance and telling her that she needed to comply before it was written. So here's the deal. If a Section 12 or 5150 or Baker Act is not written, that date and time on that document is one of the most critical pieces in order to enforce it. You can't enforce it unless it's written. You can't, you can ask someone to go to the hospital voluntarily, and you can ask them to go in for voluntary assistance, sure. But telling someone they are forced to do so when it is not written is a big deal. Having her taken back to the scene was not something that I have seen done. Typically, if someone is a danger to self and they're in a vehicle being transported to the hospital, we will get the call at the hospital and meet them at the door, pretty much. And you don't typically say to the person, put that responsibility of the person driving them, oh, bring them back, when they're already en route to a facility to get help, to bring them back to right the hold. That to me is bizarre. I don't know why they were doing it. It sounds like there was a lot going on. And again, this is the small town nonsense that happens. And that's some legal stuff right there that you have to be really, really careful about. And I also take issue with the fact that people were violating HIPAA. People were talking about what was going on with her to parties that were all around. That should never happen. And if you are a nurse or a tech or EMT in the emergency department, what we do and what I have seen done, I don't see it where people are telling the police and telling the families, oh, they're here on a legal hold, or they're here getting a psych eval, or both. We don't do that. We protect the person at all costs. Now, I get that Karen Reed was loud, and there was, according to the mother, reasons why people knew that she was there. And I feel so bad for Peggy O'Keefe, but it does sound like there was some tension between her and Karen prior to Karen even being, involved in all of this. I'm getting the impression that John probably had told family and friends that they were broken up, and they were probably having some weekend booty calls in between and not telling people they were like still kind of sort of seeing each other. That's why when probably Karen, this is my assumption, because look, I've been in the dating world for a long time. I'm single right now. I have dated, I have done all the things. I've dated several police officers. Look, I'm an ER nurse. That happens. I've dated firemen. I've dated police officers. I've dated some people in my time. I'm 50 years old. I've had a life. Okay. I've dated some cops, and I've also, there's certain behaviors that go on with people in that genre that seems to be a thing. One of them being that, typically if you meet a man who's in his 40s and has never been married, it's a red flag. Okay, I'm sorry. Red flags are flying all over the place with John O'Keefe, and I know he's passed, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but it sounds like he was that guy who kept girls and phone numbers in his back pocket, and when he was lonely or doing whatever, he was reaching out, because he's that guy that wants to have someone in his bed at night. Karen was there in his bed that night before, according to their text messages, and it sounds like Peggy O'Keefe was not on board with him continuing to see Karen, because everybody was involved in it. When they got to the bar, people are like, what the heck, man? Not everybody liked Karen, and I'm sure John wasn't flattering to her in whatever was going on in their relationship, and she was sticking around. Which, girls out there, if you're dating a man who doesn't seem into it, doesn't seem like he wants it to go somewhere, and you do, it goes into that whole he's not that into you and it's time to move on. Those kind of guys, I call it Peter Pan syndrome. They want to live their single life as long as possible. Now, some will say John was taking care of his niece and nephew. I know he was, but it also seems to be part of his identity. And it seems like it's a shield on why he's not, committing to others. And that's not to say that he was wrong for doing that. He wasn't. I just think that, from what I see in the behaviors, going with my makeup forever, he was not going to commit to anybody. And in the pandemic, he got lonely, reached out to Karen, wanted to have someone in his life, and they hooked up. And they continued to hook up. And they had what they call on and off again relationship for 2 years. This is my favorite part of this whole video, right? I always say that. It's not. God damn, I already missed. Look. I already got some on the lower lid, and we know makeup forever. I have to mess with it. Anyway, they're, like I said, he clearly had numbers of everybody, kept in touch with ex-girlfriends. I mean, what the heck is going on with this girl? I think her name is Tara. I don't know. The one who's wearing his badge number around her neck and was claiming she was an ex-girlfriend from long ago and posting pictures on X, and I don't know. She acts like she's the girlfriend. I don't know. She's giving stalker vibes. But I think John O'Keefe created this with women he kept in touch with. And I think that includes Kerry Roberts. He kept in touch with her too. She's that town girl who knows everything about everyone's business. And I would love to know the town tea on what's going on there. Although she was a neighbor, clearly she was all up in his life and everything else. And I'm sure that created some tension with Karen. I don't know. I know that she's married and da-da-da-da-da. But, something was going on there where she was really up in his world. I think part of that was, his family. And I actually dated a Boston cop for a while there who was in California. And there's a whole mentality about families being up in your business and who you can be with and everything else. And in Boston, it's all about who's your family. Who do you know? Who are you involved with? It's all about what family you came from, what church you go to. Are you a Catholic? Are you a Protestant? Are you Jewish? Are you what? Everybody wants to know who's who. And there is definitely that small town vibe going on here. That's what I'm gathering. It seems like Peggy was up in this relationship and did not like Karen. Okay, I don't think that we can argue that one. And right, wrong, and different. I don't think she's on trial for being a bad girlfriend or somebody the mother didn't approve of, but apparently she is. All right, here we go. Little wing. I don't know. At 4 o'clock in the morning, it's kind of hard to get these eyeballs going. Anyway, again, I don't want to go too hard on Peg O'Keefe, but it does sound like there was some drama preemptively going on in that situation. Now, with the witness who's the FTO officer, why is he on the stand? I don't understand why he is testifying to things that his partner written, which if you're an FTO, you're signing off all these reports, so you should know damn well what's happening on the scene of that accident. And he's feigning ignorance on things I think that he doesn't want to talk about. He's using the FTO status as a shield, but he is acting like, 1, he's all the way involved, and 2, he's not involved at all. So, hold on. I know I should just get this eyeliner on and call it a day. Anyway, if you're an FTO, what that means is field training officer. You've got a new engine buddy. You've got a new paramedic on your rig, new-ish. They do that for a couple months where they have to sign off everything and their procedures. But when there is a high-profile situation going on, which he clearly knew it was once he got to the scene, that, the FTO really should step in and they should be calling a supervisor immediately to get involved as well. So I don't know if they did or they did not, or a captain, because that will usually occur too. And if you've ever seen or worked in the field of, emergency medicine, you know that there are things that go on with police departments coming in and out of the ER. And, it's your job as a nurse or doctor or whoever is controlling what happens in the ER to assure that privacy is being maintained. You're controlling your scene because the hospital is your scene at that point. And I don't know what the hell was going on in this situation, and I just completely messed up my eye, and I might have to stop this. Okay, look, I had to stop it. My eyes were giving me grief. I was trying to do too much here, and I figured it out. So I'm going to put a little concealer here. We're going to get moving on the rest of the face, and I'm going to continue on. So I think he was feigning, whether at one point he was like, I wasn't really involved. I was just the FTO. Sir, you were there. You were involved in it. You're co-signing that chart of your whoever you're training, your paramedic. You were there. You were there not only just as a supervisor, as an FTO, you were involved because that second person on that rig, you guys are working together, you're partners, and you're discussing what you're going to do next. Now, he apparently took over, it sounds like, because he was talking to Karen Reed, and they were transporting her. So he knew the situation enough to know that he was the one sitting talking to her if this is what he's testifying to. So it doesn't sound like his partner was the one doing the whole assessment. And when they got to the hospital and they were watching or they were observing what was going on with nursing staff, now everybody's like, oh, this is HIPAA violation, him testifying. No, it's not. When something goes to trial, it can all come spilling out because there are subpoenas and everything else that allow for some of this to be talked about. So not everything is confidential. It's confidential until it's not, which is really crappy for Karen Reed that all her stuff is splayed out for the world to hear about and see. And I feel for her there. It sounds like, she was being treated in a very dismissive way by the family, by the paramedics and nurses. Oh, she wouldn't give a urine sample. I don't know that, people aren't usually that cooperative when they come in on a legal hold. And it's really up to the staff to assess the situation, to assist, to try to help make your patient comfortable. And if she's going through a massive crisis of she's lost somebody or someone has just essentially died in front of her. Wow. I mean, it's not just about getting the Johnnies and, get your pee, and it is in some ways, but at the same time, this needs to be handled with kid gloves, not just, oh, she's giving the nurses a hard time. People do give us a hard time, and it's not like they are necessarily combative. They can be very, very upset. I don't like the word that was used on her as histrionics, although I know she was. Histrionics gives the impression that it was like feigned, distress. This woman clearly was in severe distress. She has MS that can affect your neurological function, your regulated, how you regulate everything else, and she's got a lot going on too. And I think there needs to be some sensitivity to that when someone comes in on a legal hold. You have to be really careful with that. And yeah, they might have asked the medics to stay for a little bit to assist, but not, usually we have them offload a patient and then we send them on their way. Very rarely am I going to have the paramedics stay around, but I know in small town USA, in hospitals, that does happen where the paramedics will stick around the hospitals and mill around. And I think, what I've seen is when an officer has fallen, which I have had that situation occur at one point in time or another. I'm not going to get into when or where. I can't violate that situation, but I can tell you I have seen a very similar situation where not somebody froze in the snow or anything, but when an officer had fallen. And what happened with the whole department. I mean, I'm telling you, that whole freaking department was in my ER. Every single officer that was on duty, followed by within an hour, every single officer that was not on duty was there. We had camera crews trying to get information. We had all the police department up in our ER. And it was intense. And what happens is they all come in. They're all used to having complete access, walking in the back door. And it can create difficulty in the scene where in the ER, everybody's milling around. as like their employees, and when it's that sensitive, we have to control it and kind of keep people out. Why was Kerry given access to see his dead body after the fact is beyond me. I don't think Kerry should have been allowed in there. The only people we typically will allow in is immediate family for, ID and a mother or a like I said, immediate family. I'm not just letting a whole slew of people walk in after someone has been pronounced. That's just not going to happen. So why did she have access to go in there? Like, what is her relationship where she is able to just go into the ER after someone has been pronounced and look at what they look like? I don't get it. But she did say something kind of odd to me. And when she said that he only had one eye blackened at the time, followed by when she saw him again, they were both blackened. I'm assuming either he had some kind of pulse or they were able to get something back. Because but you look at pictures too of the first, I've seen a couple pictures online. One looks like, he's been cleaned up and the pictures are of that. The other ones look like fresh, but it did look like there was enough time from whatever happened for him to develop erythema on the arm, and he probably had more swelling while they were doing CPR. Maybe swelling had stopped while he was in a cold frozen state, and then the swelling continued once his body was receiving circulation, whether that was organic or it was induced by CPR. I don't know. So the Daniel Whitley, he did say that, he tried to, you ever see testimony where you feel like the question wasn't asked, but people try to get stuff in there? I've seen it like on press briefings before where, you can tell that people have rehearsed certain things before they get to talk about it, and then they get asked a question and then they answer with something that has nothing to do with the question, or they're not answer. It's like they've rehearsed something that they want to get out there, and it just doesn't fit with the way that they get asked. So I saw that with Daniel Whitley, and he really wanted to say the whole term, like somebody isn't dead till they're warm and dead. And that is true in an emergency situation. Like, we don't usually allow for that when somebody is in a frozen state and they are in a presumed trauma or cardiac arrest. Typically, that person will not get pronounced. They will bring them in, warm them up, and we will wait until they are warm to pronounce, because spontaneous heart function can reoccur, because when they're in the frozen state, their body is actually protected, their heart's protected, their brains are protected. So I'd like to know if they ever got any pulses back on him, or electrical activity or anything, because it sounds like they did. I want to know when that hold on Karen was written, because that's a very big deal on how they acted towards her and when they actually did, or if they wrote it or they kept her in involuntary status. Because whatever happened after she got there, they released her, and somebody released her, and whether that hold ever got written or not is a big deal. Who writes a hold? Police or ER personnel, a doctor. So a doctor can write it. Typically, in our situation, police will write it. It's not written by fire department. It's not so he was going back to pick her up to get her somewhere to put her on it. But if she wasn't on it, he can't force her to go with him. And Kerry honestly should have just taken her to the hospital and had her go in and check in like she was going to do. So whole thing's weird. The fact that anybody told Peggy or anybody else why Karen was there, again, very strange. Shouldn't happen. Wouldn't happen on my watch, I can tell you that much. And I would have had the door closed in a situation like that. So it sounds like everybody was having issue controlling a scene from the minute the police arrived on scene to when Karen was at the hospital. So that's just my take on that. I don't know. What do you think? This is a little ER nurse just telling my side of it, what I would see happen if I were in the same position. So I am getting my eyebrows on. I'm almost done. I'm not going to get too crazy with it. I just got to get my hair dry and get dressed, and I'm going to head over and do my fit testing. So that is it. I don't think I'm going to do too much more. I think I do need a little powder. I'm going to do a little bronzer on my face. I'm not using blushes. I just kind of use a touch of bronzer. I use my Hourglass I like this. It's kind of a mixed thing that gives me a lot of color. And voila. Oh, lips. I gotta do my lips. Oh my God, my Rare Beauty. I have some gloss on right now. I gotta put my liner on. Are we gonna do Charlotte? I think we are. Yeah. My X right here. All right. Charlotte, she is. And that is it. Got to dry my hair. Got to get going. It's been a pleasure. I hope that I will continue to post on here. I'm trying. I don't know. I got to start, getting a little more organized with these videos. So just bear with me. I am going to follow the Karen Reed trial. I would like to dig into some of the medical. I might do separate videos where I just do deep dives on this. But let me know what you want to hear. I'm on the way. So I will see you on the flip side.